Welcome to Inner Shift. You wake up one day and the world feels suddenly thin. The career goals, the daily routines, and the identity you've carefully maintained for years all feel entirely hollow. You have hit a wall of profound emptiness. This experience is a well-documented spiritual crisis known as the dark night of the soul. 16th century mystic St. John of the Cross used the term to describe periods of total desolation and the collapse of one's perceived meaning in life. While it shares characteristics with clinical depression or burnout, this experience is distinct. It functions as an intense spiritual detox where false beliefs and the conceptual illusions you've used to navigate reality are being stripped away. Feeling as though you are falling apart is often the first symptom of awakening. The life you once knew has simply become too small for the person you are becoming. To understand why this transition is so painful, we have to look at the voice in your head. The identity you claim right now is largely a constructed ego, a character you built specifically to navigate and survive the world. The blueprints for that character were drawn in childhood, when early needs for emotional safety, comfort, or validation were consistently unmet. Your psyche was forced to adapt. To secure love and avoid pain, you formed a protective mask. This manifests as the chronic people pleaser, the relentless perfectionist, or the fiercely independent adult. This survival mask has an expiration date. The dark night of the soul begins the moment the fortress you built to protect yourself becomes a prison that prevents further growth. When that mask starts cracking under the pressure of your internal evolution, it feels like you are losing your mind. The carefully curated version of yourself is breaking down. Psychiatrist Carl Jung described this as a pivotal stage in individuation. He argued that achieving psychological wholeness requires confronting and integrating the repressed shadow parts of your psyche that the ego tried to lock away. Modern spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle describe this collapse as ego death. It is the end of a conceptual, mind-made identity that you once mistook for your true nature. The severe emotional pain of this phase is the direct result of the ego fighting to maintain control. It is terrified of the breakdown of the only reality it has ever known. This breakdown of the false adult self is an intelligent, necessary purification. The debris of the old identity must be cleared to reach the truth buried underneath. Beneath the crumbling ego lies the inner child. This is the part of your psyche that holds your earliest vulnerabilities, joys, and unresolved wounds. With the protective ego fractured, daily life gets much harder. Stressors, rejections, and criticisms pierce through the failing adult mask and strike directly at the unmet emotional needs of this inner child. Adult bouts of severe anxiety, disproportionate anger, or a sudden deep dread of abandonment are often the inner child reacting to the present as if it were the traumatic past. Attempting to numb raw feelings or rebuild the old mask only prolongs the suffering. This total breakdown of external masks creates a vacuum. It leaves only one path forward, turning inward to finally hear the abandoned child waiting in the dark. Moving through this crisis requires a shift into therapeutic reparenting. Reparenting occurs when your mature adult self steps in to provide the unconditional love, boundaries, and validation that you lacked growing up. This is active, practical work. It involves journaling conversations with your younger self, sitting in silence with raw pain, and refusing to abandon yourself when fear arises. When the inner child finally feels safe and seen, a physiological change occurs. It stops generating panic signals, allowing your nervous system to settle. By ending the internal war against your own vulnerability, you establish a secure foundation for your authentic self to safely emerge. This grueling crisis facilitates a spiritual rebirth, clearing the stage for a grander, more authentic comeback. You eventually enter a state of liberation, where external validation and performance are no longer necessary for self-worth. It is an intrinsic, unshakable knowing. For those in the thick of it, remember, The storm is currently washing away the old foundation to make room for something real. This fragmentation is the process of the psyche finally reaching its authentic shape. Every true dawn begins in the dark.